Brandon Nimmo has just been traded by the New York Mets to the Texas Rangers in exchange for Marcus Semien. Wow. Jeff Passan dropping the tweet once again. Nimmo for Marcus Semien. This trade is absolutely insane. I mean, take away the fact that I'm a huge Mets fan. You guys knew that. Take away the fact that I'm home back where it all started. It just kind of all makes sense that the Mets would make a massive move on a Sunday night in November, moving Brandon Nimmo to the Texas Rangers in exchange for Marcus Semien. There is a lot to talk about with this trade from both sides. I'm not going to just cover the Mets. I'm going to cover the Rangers as well. So I do appreciate you guys being here to watch and listen to what I have to say. Make sure you do click that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And big shout out to my Mets podcast, Mets Up. Link will be in the description. If you want to hear a deeper conversation past the one that I'm going to have here, that's Mets only. Mets the podcast is going to be the place for you. But of course, we have to cover both sides here. So first, let's start off with the side I care the most about, the Mets. Moving on from Brandon Nimmo, kind of crazy. Brandon Nimmo has been in the Mets organization since 2011. He's been in this organization for 14 years. That is basically half of my life. I'm 29, turning 30 in January. Brandon Nimmo has been with the Mets that long. Since 2011, he was drafted in the first round. And Brandon Nimmo had done a lot of really great things for this Mets team. Big reason why they made the NLCS run back in 2024. He's been a leader on this team. He's been consistent. He's been good. He's been not just a leader on the field, but off the field as well. Someone you love to have in your organization. Fans love him. The players love him. Nothing bad to say about Brandon Nimmo. The one unfortunate thing about him in the Mets right now was that the contract that he signed back in 2023 after the amazing 2022 season where he was playing center field at really high levels, getting on base crazy. He had a phenomenal year. Billy Epler, who's no longer with the Mets, gave him an 8-year, $162 million contract. The last two seasons, Nimmo's been in the corner, not playing the greatest of defense, and the bat has also been declining. For those reasons, it made this contract a little bit scary for the New York Mets moving forward because Brandon Nimmo signed until the year 2030. And I don't think David Stearns, Steve Cohen, or the Mets are feeling that great right now about paying Brandon Nimmo $20+ million a year when it's like 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030. So that in of itself made Brandon Nimmo available. And I'd kind of joked about it on the Mets Sub podcast. I've mentioned on this channel that I thought there was a world where Brandon Nimmo could be traded. The problem was finding a suitor because, again, taking on that contract is always daunting. It's not that Brandon Nimmo's a bad player. He's very good. He's an on-base king. He's hitting for more power. He's deteriorated defensively in the outfield, but even stole bases this year. He is still somewhat athletic. He's very good. I am not going to say a bad thing about Brandon Nimmo just because the Mets traded him. I actually like Brandon Nimmo as a player. I thought he was really good. I thought he's been criminally underrated, and I think while he's in Texas, he'll continue to be criminally underrated. But it does feel insane to think that while it's probably best for the Mets moving forward to trade Brandon Nimmo, that it actually happened. And then when you take into the fact that they're bringing in Marcus Semien, another big name in the baseball world, someone who doesn't have the length, the longevity with the Rangers like Nimmo does with the Mets, but won a World Series with them in 2023. Big reason why they did. Couldn't have done it without him. Was one of their major signings when they really started to kind of turn the page and go for the winning more so than they were in the past. It's kind of wild that these two guys end up being traded for each other. And I'll tell you this, I don't particularly love this trade on paper for the New York Mets at this exact moment. If this is the only move that's being made, I think the Mets are a worse team, trading Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien. In reality, though, I don't think that's what's going to happen because I think that the Mets make this trade so that they can free up one of these outfield positions. Big thing that David Stearns mentioned this offseason, roster flexibility. He wants better defense. Brandon Nimmo handcuffed them in both of those aspects. Marcus Semien, while he's really only going to play second base, he is a plus defender at second base. The defense has not suffered one bit as he's gotten older. The bat is not there, though, and that's what I'm worried about, because truthfully, while the Mets defense wasn't great last year, the problem was if your name wasn't Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, or Juan Soto, you really weren't doing enough offensively to help push this team forward. Also, their pitching was terrible, but I still wanted more bats. We had problems at multiple positions. Marcus Semien's bat is scary. It doesn't look good. It has gone completely downhill since the 2023 season, and even then, the stuff that Marcus Semien was doing, the signs pointed to that it was eventually going to take a tick down. Now, defensively, again, hasn't slowed down one bit. He is a veteran. I think there is value to Marcus Semien on this team. He's not going to be hitting towards the top of the order. He's not going to be a guy that's relied upon to be this big run producer. He's there to play good defense. And another reason why the Mets made this trade is while Marcus Semien is making $5 million more this upcoming season, which again, it's relatively not that much. The Mets are able to get off of his contract after the 2028 season. So they have 3 full seasons left of Marcus Semien. And that last season, his contract goes down to $20 million a year, which is the same level that Brandon Nimmo's at. So this was a roster flexibility. This was a getting rid of a bigger contract move On paper, the Mets did not get better by bringing in Marcus Semien. No world paying a 36-year-old second baseman $25 million a year as opposed to having a corner outfielder for 20. That's Brandon Nimmo. I mean, you just compare the two guys. I don't think Marcus Semien is going to be a better player than Brandon Nimmo next year. But if the Mets use now this position of left field to fill it in with a Cody Bellinger, which is probably the most realistic option, or if we're going to go pipe dream, Kyle Tucker, or if we're going to go real pipe dream, maybe you try and trade for a Fernando Tatis, who I think could be available. Maybe you go after a Jarren Duran, who could be available. There are subsequent moves that I need to see be made first by David Stearns in the Mets front office before I can say I feel good about this trade. Because again, truthfully, at the end of the day, I think this trade is a win for the Texas Rangers. This swap, I think Nimmo's going to give them more value. I think he's going to be a little bit more consistent, especially on the offensive side. While you give up some defense, the Rangers last year needed hitting. Marcus Semien could not hit last year, and I don't know how much better he's going to hit. Another year older, he'll be 35 next season. I don't know how much better he's really going to hit, especially in Citi Field, which is not really the most hitter-friendly park. I know Globe Life wasn't either, but Citi Field's a tough place to hit. I'm not saying Semien sucks. I just don't think he's the same Marcus Semien he once was. This is a glove-first acquisition and a contract mover. That's why the Mets made this trade. They probably think they can go get better in left field than they had with Nimmo. I think that's also part of it. Now, for the Texas Rangers, they wanted to shed payroll, and they did. Technically, Brandon Nimmo makes less money than Marcus Semien these upcoming couple seasons. The difference is that you're going to have his contract way further down the line, but Brandon Nimmo, again, is still very good, guys. Marcus Semien last year, just for some context, offensively, 15 homers, 230 average, 305 on base, 364 slugging, a 669 OPS. That's not great. That's the second straight season in a row that he had an OPS below 700. Really hasn't been the same since 2023. Now for Brandon Nimmo, who's going to take over one of those outfield spots for the Rangers as they also got rid of Adolis Garcia when they non-tendered him. Nimmo, the last two seasons, has probably had the worst two seasons of his major league career. 244 average, 326 on base, 418 slugging for a 744 OPS plus at 110. We've seen Nimmo's on-base percentage be in the 360, even 400 range before. The OPS has been in the mid-800s. That was truly when he was at his best, at his prime. He's now going to be 33 next season, which is kind of crazy. That's the age difference. They're only 2 years apart. That feels, I mean, they're not 2 years apart, but they are 2 years apart, if that makes sense. It'll be Nimmo's 33-year-old season. It'll be Semien's 35-year-old season. But I think Nimmo is going to be a more valuable offensive player, where a lot of Semien's value is going to come on the defense. Because Nimmo last year, career high 25 home runs. The power numbers looked better. The bat speed was up. He still does get on base. It's just not the level that he was prior. And I do think a change of scenery, not that he needed one, but I think could be really good for Brandon Nimmo. He's a great baseball player. He was one of my favorite Mets. Salute Brandon Nimmo. Thank you for playing for the Mets. Thank you for the 2024 run. Thank you for everything that you've done. I will not say a bad word about him just because he's been traded. I know there was all those comments from Ottavino that came out this week, and I think some people started to turn on Nimmo. People started to turn on Ottavino. Felt absolutely insane. Brandon Nimmo has been one of the best members of the Mets organization in my lifetime, and I will miss him dearly. From a personal side, I really liked Brandon Nimmo. When I worked with the team and did the podcast, he was incredibly nice to us. Got to speak to him. Always very, very friendly. That part sucks. But from a Mets fan perspective of wanting to win, how do we get to the World Series sooner? It unfortunately probably is without Brandon Nimmo. But David Stearns still has so much work to do, an insane amount to do. This can't be the move. This can't be we trade Nimmo for Marcus Semien and we're done. Because if it is, Mets fans, you have every right to be absolutely livid. There's no way this can be. Because that trade would be a way to make the Mets worse. Boy, do I hope Marcus Semien proves me wrong. I don't know how much he has left in the tank with the bat, in the glove, disgusting, at the plate. I don't know what's there. Nimmo, I know he can hit better. I don't know what's there in the outfield. So it depends where you're at. In Rangers, I think this is okay. I think this is just a sign that things are going to be changing. I think it's a sign for Mets fan too. The core that you had, that you fell in love with, it's not going to look the same. It's not going to be the same. And Brandon Nimmo, I think, is going to have a great impact in Texas. Has been healthy the last few years, which is something that you really couldn't rely on. But casually, Brandon Nimmo's played 150 games for the last 4 seasons, which is awesome for the Rangers, who do have a durability issue at times. I think it's a good move from them. The contract's crazy, but if he plays well, it's a different build. It fits the Rangers more than it does the Mets. And Semien just really didn't make sense anymore in Texas. Paying your second baseman $25 million a year to be a glove-first guy in that lineup with that organization, it's not what they needed anymore. They need a little more upside. And Semien's a very high floor guy, where I think Nimmo could have more upside moving forward. Overall, I think the Rangers win this trade. It doesn't mean that the Mets won't make good moves and be better going into next season. It's just right now, 1-for-1, I would rather have Brandon Nimmo in 2026 than I would Marcus Semien. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking down in the comment section below. Who do you think won this trade? What are your thoughts and opinions? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for all the baseball content that you could ever want. Please do hit that sub button and check out my Mets podcast, Mets Up, link in the description if you want to hear more dense, specifically Mets baseball talk about this trade. That's all I got for you. I'm going to go edit, get this out for you. I mean, clearly I did. You're watching it now. Shout out to my videos, though. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload, so click through those. Thank you guys for watching, the amazing support. I really do appreciate it, and we'll catch you all on the next video.